My message to the AFL and the AFL Players Association, by extension the players, they must do more to stamp out this illicit drug use that is clearly rampant still in the game. And the AFL Players Association continue to allow these players to take the mickey out of it. That's what they're doing. They're laughing at it. Of course, it's been hit with a roadblock of the AFL Players Association. Said, no, we can't. This is too far. The players voluntarily go through this program, and what if someone tests positive on the second time and they're named publicly? Then that will affect their trade value and it would be a deterrent for other clubs. Of course it would be. Of course it would be a deterrent for other clubs. Oh, surprise, surprise. The AFL Players Association are against capping long-term deals.
Kane Corns doesn't seem to care for the AFL Players Association. Kane has been targeting the union from at least 2018, starting with Melbourne's decision to cancel a pre-season military-style boot camp per the request of the players. During that time, Kane suggested that player power had gone too far. Later that year, in light of a drug scandal involving GWS ruckman Shane Mumford, Kane took aim at the Players Association over their influence on the AFL's illicit drug policy, which has been one of his reliable targets for almost a decade. At this point, you might be asking yourself, wasn't Kane an AFL player for 15 years? Didn't he benefit from 3 separate collective bargaining agreements negotiated by the AFLPA during his decade-and-a-half tenure? And why does he harbour such resentment for the AFL Players Association? Kane has repeatedly claimed that the PA have been weak on the issue of drug use amongst players. And he and his cohort think the players are simply taking the mickey, so to speak.
These players to take the mickey out of it.
Lead players to take the mickey.
You believe that players take the mickey out of it?
Absolutely have taken the mickey out of this.
Just taking the piss.
And importantly, Kane doesn't seem to know why the illicit drugs policy exists in the first place. The policy came into effect in 2005 and was in reference to the National Drug Strategy. The policy takes a harm minimisation approach, which is primarily concerned with player health and well-being. And crucially, it's voluntary, meaning players, via the AFLPA, elected to instate it, and therefore have the right to negotiate its terms. But that's all irrelevant to what Kane is arguing. He wants players to stop taking drugs, because he is simply anti-drugs.
Like they should, that capping long-term deals at 6 years, which is generous, mind you, is a good thing for the game. Why don't they just do it? Why do they have to canvass club CEOs and presidents and the AFL Players Association? I don't get it. Where are the players going to go?
Add to that, he also doesn't appear to know what a union does, and this became glaringly obvious when face-to-face with the current head of the AFLPA, James Gallagher.
What happens if the AFL just says we're doing it? Like, they run the game, they can make whatever rules they want. What if they said to you, look, we are doing this? What action do you have up your sleeve to not allow them to do that, if any?
Well, it's a restraint or restriction that's not agreed. So they can't, in simple terms. To do it, it'd have to be agreed through the collective bargaining agreement. And I mean, ultimately, if they tried, it'd be unlawful.
Does that go to any rules? Like,
abrasive,
what about, like, if they want to, just for a tiny example, we want to lock up players' phones as soon as they arrive to the ground. Like, that's a rule that the AFL just bring in out of nowhere. Does everything have to go through you? Does it, when it comes to the conditions that the players abide by?
A vast majority of them do, and there'll be nuance around that. But the vast majority do.
Despite his ignorance on the issue, Kane has some damning statistics to back up his carefully cultivated worldview.
All right, Phil, I reckon the public's perception is that 70 to 80% of AFL players take illicit drugs. Now, whether that's once a year, it's in the off-season, I reckon that's about the percentage that the public think AFL players indulge in that.
And I reckon Kane doesn't know what he's talking about.